Good evening. So congratulations to the alumni team here, the teachers, the administrators for organizing such an amazing event. So and good luck with all the future events for all of you here. I was asked to speak about something that could inspire the folks who attend here. But my point of view is that, other than Dr. Tharoor, if you are not inspired by Dr. Tharoor, I don't really think that, you are going to be inspired much further than anything that anybody else can say. But in reality, the question is, where does inspiration come from? Does inspiration come from us, from within ourselves, or from someone else outside that we have to look for? I remember reading somewhere that somebody asked, I think a classroom full of people, students, about who is your hero. And one of the students in the room said, my hero is who I will be 20 years from now. Because I think that's kind of what Dr. Tharoor said as well at the end of the day. Be the best you can. Because the question is, what I'm doing today, will I be proud of myself 20 years from now? What I'm doing today, will it help me to be the best person 20 years from now? The world is going through massive transformation as we speak. We are in the information revolution or the digital revolution, digital transformation as we speak. The world is completely different today than we've ever known before. The power of information is with all of us. In the good old days, in the agrarian revolution, you needed land capital, land to win out. In the manufacturing, in the industrial revolution, you needed manufacturing power and the huge supply chain. But in today's digital industrial revolution, you really don't need any of that. The power lies within you. It's the power of the information, the power of data, which I think we all can have, we all can garner from ourselves. The last time I was in a Catholic school like this many years ago, I was expelled from the boarding school. It was a Jesuit school in Kanjarapalli. The warden got fed up of me and said, you are asking too many questions, you are challenging too many status quo, you are too outspoken, so I can't have you in the hostel anymore. But actually the principal wanted me there, although my parents said at that point of time, it's time, good enough, you better move with us, and they actually shipped me out of the country. That's how I grew up. Now today, being outspoken, what does that mean? Or speaking up, what does that mean? In today's leadership, in today's world, to win, you need to have a combination of many things, in my opinion. First and foremost, you need to be ambitious. You need to be terribly ambitious, because if you're not ambitious, you're not going to do the best you can. You need to be responsible, because ambition without responsibility can land you in many bad troubles and could be bad for even the environment around you. But last but not the least, the most important thing is empathy. We got to be strong in emotional empathy so that we are doing the right thing for all of us. Now, in the Industrial Revolution, we made the machines to work like the human beings. That's what Industrial Revolution was all about. The Digital Revolution or the Information Revolution is about making machines think like humans and act like humans. So on one front, we made humans act like machines, and now we are turning machines to act like humans. So coming from an automotive industry, this is a very interesting topic that we all talk about every day. We work every day, we live every day, because in a self-driving environment, when the cars are driving themselves, the cars have to make decisions themselves. When human beings drive the car, when we get into a crisis mode, we make the decisions based on how we are programmed. In some cases, based on reflexes. In some cases, based on conscious decision. But what would a car do? Of course, a car can navigate the traffic lights, a car can pass the other car, etc. very nicely. But then imagine a scenario where in the self-driving car there is a passenger, and the car is left with a choice that I am going to have an accident. On the road there is an older woman, a young child, and of course I have my passenger with me. Only I have to kill one of them, or one of them will die. Now that decision has to be made by the vehicle, because it's not going to be a random decision. That is what artificial intelligence is all about. So that empathy, now you have to make the machine think empathetically. Now there is another problem. Again, like Dr. Tharoor said, different countries think differently, different people think differently. So the same question if you ask a Japanese crowd, their answer would be very different than if you ask a European country or you ask a US group of people. So how do you turn all this around? At the end of the day, again, it all comes back into that emotional consciousness, that empathy that we have. A couple of days ago, Dr. Tharoor and I were speaking, and we were talking about one of his tweets. And there's actually a tweet that he mentioned there where Kofi Annan spoke to him about one of the quotes that he has. In there, what Kofi Annan told him is, life is about choices, life is choices. And to make the right choice, you need to know who you are, you need to know what you stand for, and you need to know where you are going and why you are going. At the end of the day, as long as you can answer this, and as long as you can be honest to yourself, I really believe that you all will be successful. Success at the end of the day, it's all dependent on us as individuals and what we want and how we want. So that's all I have to tell you right now, because I know we are terribly running late and I don't want to take too much of your time. So thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Question from Gautam S. Satish. What is your view on the economical reform implemented by Modi government?
Well, I'm no macroeconomic expert by any stretch of imagination. There are things that the current government has done that intentionally could have been good, probably implementation-wise bad. There are things that the government has done that probably is good, and maybe is giving the right results, and some, of course, might not be that good either. So let's take GST, for example. I think it's probably a good thing for the country, having one nation, one tax, and free movement of goods across the borders, etc. However, I believe that there was, at least I understand that there are some challenges in the way it's implemented. Demonetization is another topic where people can argue about the merits and demerits of that. But having said that, the economy is probably going through a downturn right now. You can see that in most of the macro indicators, as well as you can see that in the industrial output and even some layoffs that are happening. Industries that used to perform very well in this country, telecom, automotive, even these industries are now facing a crisis. But you know what, at the end of the day, economics is basically cyclical. So I'm sure that we will turn around and we will get to the next phase of this much faster. The strength of India is its workforce. We have huge labor force here in this country who are very capable of producing. Now, India has not really made huge inroads into the manufacturing as much as our potential allowed us, especially in the high-tech manufacturing. While countries like Taiwan, Indonesia, even China has made huge strides in that, India has not really come and captured that opportunity. But with the current thinking that we can do more with less, and in the new digital industrial revolution, we really don't need to have heavy manufacturing like we used to do, but still get the value to the economy. I think we should be probably in a good shape.
Next question by George Matthew, 1986 batch alumni. Sir, having returned to Kerala as the CIO of Nissan, what do you think are the most crucial areas to focus on for the sustainable development of Kerala?
A small correction, I haven't returned to Kerala. I live in Japan. And I come to that, I've been living abroad most of my life, although I come here and go back often. So I don't live in Kerala, but I observe Kerala very closely. I try to look at what is really going on in Kerala. I think the real problem in Kerala is that we are not capitalizing on our opportunities, our potential. Kerala has huge potential when it comes to human capital, when it comes to the environment that we acquired, the location itself with respect to accessibility to major markets, the potential with respect to tourism, with respect to higher technology, etc. But we've never really capitalized ourselves. On one front, while we became very good in social indices and protecting the rights of the most downtrodden, we forgot the fact that capital has to come from somewhere. Economy is driven by production. Here we are running towards stopping production as much as we can. So in today's world, in the future, in the new world, you really don't need to have machines next to you. In the old days of manufacturing, if you ever visited the old factories, you will see that every machine has a control unit. And the control unit is predominantly very mechanical in nature. It's like the big switches. So you run the machine by looking at the performance of the machine and then acting on these levers, moving up and down, left and right, depending on what you really need to do. As it became a little bit more advanced, which you see in most factories out there today, they were able to disassociate the physical lever from the machine and was able to detach that and then put it in a command and control center somewhere where they can actually watch the line, but the operators are not sitting next to the machines anymore. They are watching and they are making decisions. But in today's world, with all the power that we have with respect to artificial intelligence, IoT, and beyond, you really don't even need to be in the same location as the machine. You don't need to be on the factory floor. You don't need to be on the command center within the factory to make decisions on some of the machines. Because the decisions are today completely made based on purely looking at the computer screens. You are not even looking at the line anymore. You don't really need to. So in that case then, a lot of the work that can be done on the shop floor, the manufacturing as it was, a lot of those jobs have been now translated back into technology jobs, which can be done from anywhere in the world. So can we today control a factory that is sitting in China from India, from Trivandrum, from Cochin? Yes, we can. Can we today manage the security, the cyber security of these devices that are out there across the globe, the billions of devices, 200 plus billions of devices that will be in operation by 2020 from sitting somewhere here in Trivandrum? Absolutely you can. So the potential is huge, but in many cases what you see is that there is a level of, in my opinion, a lethargy. People are not really standing up, challenging and fixing the status quo. In many cases, people are so comfortable where they are. In many cases, people don't even feel that these things are not going to affect me. For those of you who are studying here right now, other than those so few who might look for a bank job or maybe a government job, most of you are studying to get out of Kerala. That's a bad situation. That is because we are not able to produce enough jobs for the people who are graduating from here. We need to change that. Until we are able to change that, we will never be able to be a self-sustained location. Now that sustainability also has to be environmentally sustainable. That is where I am a full proponent of the digital ways of manufacturing rather than the physical manufacturing, because in the old days to make a factory you need hundreds of acres of land, you need to level all of that, you need to destroy the environment. Whereas today, to run these factories, you really don't need any of that. In a room like this, you can probably run 5 or 6 factories. So that is the advantage of where we are right now. And I think we are well poised to capitalize on that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question by Abhilash. In your opinion, how far do you think India is to replacing internal combustion engines with electrical motor-powered vehicles like Tesla?
Yeah, when I use electric powered vehicles, I wouldn't use Tesla as an example. Nissan sells the largest number of electric vehicles across the globe, and it is one of our cars called Leaf. Electric vehicles, or let me put it a different way. Sustainable energy and sustainable combustion, sustainable power is going to be the future. There's no question about that. There are still debates about whether it's going to be hydrogen or electric or even solar in some cases. But at the end of the day, it is not going to be fossil fuel burned vehicles anymore. Many parts of the world, diesel is already banned. And when the battery is not able to hold enough power, then you have to frequently charge the car, which becomes really difficult. So you get the range anxiety. For those of you who drive cars or even motorcycle, you know that you keep on refueling when you still have fuel left.
So the same way, if the car is only able to give you about 100 kilometers range, which is some of the cars in India that is giving right now, then the problem is that you will start charging it about 60 kilometers, 65 kilometers. So you can see how unviable that is for a taxi driver, for example, because a taxi driver probably would be driving about 400, 500 kilometers a day. In that scenario, then he cannot do that. He'll probably have to drive about 80 kilometers, and it takes another 3 to 4 hours to charge the car to the next level. So it's still not feasible yet. But I think in the next 2 to 3 years, this will happen. There is no other way. We will have electric or hydrogen or some other sustainable energy that will be propelling the automotive. Mobility of the future is going to be very different than what we know right now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was last question.